Hello and welcome to Afternoon Tea with Karen.
Guys, let's get into today's video. I caught this video, at least a clip of it that was circulating on Twitter and going viral. And first we're gonna watch the clip, then we'll get into the larger ad. And again, this is sponsored by the Victorian government in Australia. For those of you that don't know, Victoria is a state in Australia. I believe it's in the southeast, and the capital is Melbourne. And they've been doing work, I guess, to make people more accepting of trans and gender diverse individuals with a campaign called The Unsaid Says a Lot. Now here's the initial clip that went viral. So we watch a conservatively dressed woman get out of the elevator when a trans person enters, and on the screen it reads, "Trans and gender diverse people deserve to feel safe," and then they plug their website, which takes you to the campaign that is sponsored by the Victorian government, which we'll get to in just a moment. What's really interesting about this ad is what it insinuates. It insinuates that if you are a woman, and yes, I'm going to use the word woman, not cis woman, to refer to the actual woman in this ad. Now, if you are a woman who feels uncomfortable in a closed and confined space with somebody, you should just sit in that discomfort instead of leaving. That is insane to me. What's even crazier is that the ad insinuates that the woman leaving the elevator makes the trans person unsafe. Crazy. And let's use a little bit of logic here. If you are a trans or gender diverse person, as they say in this campaign, who has entered an elevator with somebody who is a transphobe or a TERF, a trans exclusionary radical feminist, wouldn't you want them to leave the elevator? Wouldn't that in fact make you safer in the situation, that you don't have to share this small space with somebody who disagrees with your identity? Please make that make sense. We as people, but women in particular, should reserve the right to remove ourselves from situations where we feel discomfort or where we feel a lack of safety. And that's clearly what this woman felt in this situation when she decided to leave the elevator. We all have instincts, survival instincts at that, and we make judgments about people, all people, actually very quickly. And if you decide to make a judgment that says, you know what, maybe I need to take myself and remove myself from the situation, that is your right. It doesn't matter who it is that's entering the elevator. So to make women in particular feel bad for that choice is absolutely insane to me. I want to do a little thought experiment here and see how you would react to a new ad, an ad that I'll create for you right now. In this ad, we have the same exact woman who was in the elevator in the first clip we watched, and a big 6'4" man walks into the elevator. He stands right next to her. She clearly looks uncomfortable and gives him a strange look, and she decides to throw her hand out and step out of the elevator. Would we be viewing that same scenario as an act of prejudice against men or misandry against them? Probably not, because we as women acknowledge that men have a significant biological advantage over us, and that we should probably err on the side of safety and caution when it comes to being in a confined space with them. Was that man dangerous? Was he going to create a violent or uncomfortable situation for that woman? We don't know, but she still has the right to exit the elevator. It's funny to me that once that man puts on makeup and a dress, it suddenly becomes an act of discrimination to walk out of the elevator. And I'll leave y'all with that to think about. More importantly, I'll leave the Victorian government with that to think about. Now, as I said, the end of this ad plugs a website, and the website takes you to a campaign titled The Unsaid Says a Lot, where they have a full-length ad, and we're gonna react to the full-length ad because they add some more scenarios in there and tell you what you should do in these scenarios. This says 3 in 4 trans and gender diverse people have been treated unfairly because of their gender identity. Question: how exactly do we get a stat like that, and what signifies being treated unfairly? How exactly does one make a judgment on that, or determine that 3 in 4 trans and gender diverse people have experienced unfair treatment? I'll leave that with y'all.
Hey then. The unsaid says a lot. We want our audience to understand the impact of their nonverbal communication. We're helping people understand discrimination. The full video we're not reacting to. Why does it matter? 3 out of 4 trans and gender diverse people have been unfairly treated because of their gender identity. 43% of trans and gender diverse people don't feel safe on the street. 32% don't feel safe on public transport. And for more information, we need to read this From Blues to Rainbow, the mental health and wellbeing of gender diverse and transgender young people in Australia, La Trobe University, September 2014. So something from 10 years ago. Be an ally, what you can do, importance of inclusive language, hyperlink. So the state government of Victoria developed inclusive language 27th of October 2023. How to be an ally from -18. Transgender describes, non-binary describes, gender diverse is a term. What is an ally? How to be an ally? Don't tolerate disrespect, respect pronouns, be patient with those questioning their gender identity. Don't worry about what bathrooms people use. Listen to trans and gender diverse voices. Don't assume you can tell if someone is transgender. You can by their skeletons. Men have wider shoulders and smaller hips, so your ass will always look fat in that dress, dear. Be careful about confidentiality, disclosure, and outing. Use gender neutral language. Learning and unlearning. Your journey as an ally means questioning and unlearning many of these ideas about gender that you take for granted as natural and being open to different concepts which embrace and include gender diversity. Keep it appropriate. Don't ask trans people about their genital, surgical status, or sex lives. And guide to conversations about trans justice. The Fueling Hate Report. How to identify dangerous anti-trans disinformation. How to make a complaint about disinformation and anti-trans media. Anti-trans movement framework for the anti-trans movement framework, supporting transgender and gender diverse people in the workplace. Right, this has the current survey results they're using. We divided the survey into questions about what people had seen and experienced online and in person. The survey was open to anyone aged 18 and over from any state or territory. It ran from 9 days from the 17th to the 25th of April 2023. It was promoted on social media by project team members, community controlled organisations, civil society groups, and community members. The survey took 3 minutes on average. The data from over 3,099 survey responses included 1,309 responses from people from the trans community. So the rest were gender diverse or non-binary. So this is the 29th of August 2023, introduced federal and state anti-vilification laws. Collaboration and inclusive campaign. Who else? We'll pick one. Transcend. They're limited is a company, limited by guarantee, tax deductible, donations, plan a gift in your will, the Pride in Our Future Victorian LGBTIQA strategy is for 10 years. The Minister for Equality will lead the LGBTIQA plus strategy with the support of all Victorian ministers and their departments. Resources, we've got some non-for-profits. The Unsaid Says a Lot stakeholder pack. I thought the ad on the train here, he was saving him a seat. That's why he had his bag on it. Anyway. The Unsaid Says a Lot campaign is supported by leaders from trans and gender communities, as well as representatives from peak organisations including Transcend, Transgender Victoria, Zoe Bell Gender Collective, and Inclusive Rainbow Voices. Harriet is the Minister for Equality. Harvey is a film director. Key messages. What's in the pack? videos, cut down videos, campaign posters, social media material more and more, newsletter template, resources, the non-for-profits. Thank you. Now, down the bottom about the Victorian Government, inquiries and royal commissions. Current royal commissions and Victorian Government inquiries, commissions and responses. Response into the inquiry into anti-vilification protections. Consultation was open from the 6th of July to the 16th of October. In Victoria, the Racial and Religious Tolerance Act 2001 prevents vilification. It can protect people from vilification based on race and religion. Where this occurs in public, it does not cover vilification based on disability, gender, or sexual orientation. The committee released its report on anti-vilification protection. The report on 3rd of March 2021. That doesn't open, but it does here. Victorian Government response into anti-vilification protections. Government wants to reduce hate crime and vilification in Victoria. The harm caused by hate conduct and vilification can be profound. This response was prepared in consultation with key agencies, including Victorian Police, the Victorian Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission, and the Victorian Multicultural Commission. The Victorian Government extend anti-vilification provisions in both civil and criminal law to cover the attributes of those things. The Victorian Government amend anti-vilification laws to ensure people can make complaints on the basis of more than one attribute. That the Victorian Government fund ongoing research on drivers behind vilification, conduct and prejudice with effective strategies to prevent this conduct. That the Victorian Government advocate to the Commonwealth Government to implement the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission's recommendation 6 of its digital platform inquiries final report to establish national regulatory framework in all forms of media. That the Victorian Government implement programs within primary schools to strengthen respect, diversity, cohesion among all students. That the Victorian Government promote clearer understanding among educators and school leadership on preventing and responding to hate conduct within schools, including through professional development policies and strategies. Topics may cover those things. That the Victorian Government work with relevant organisations such as the Victorian Equal Opportunities and Human Rights Commission and the Victorian Multicultural Commission to develop community education campaigns on vilification and hate conduct. Grants have been awarded to organisations including Closing the Gap Foundation, Centre for Multicultural Youth and Bendigo Queer Arts Festival. 8. That the Victorian Government lower the civil incitement test from conduct that incites to conduct that is likely to incite. That the Victorian Government introduce a new civil harm-based provision to access harm from the perspective of the target group. That the Victorian Government formulate harm-based provisions to make unlawful conduct that a reasonable person will consider hateful, seriously contemptuous or revealing or seriously ridiculed of a person or class of persons. 11. That the Victorian Government explore in consultation with LGBTIQA+ and religious organisations narrowing the religious purpose exemptions in Section 11 to align with the Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities Act 2006. And I've run out of time. 26B. International models such as the United Kingdom's approach to hate crimes. See you later. Bye.